Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You should be in study hall right now, and you should have your notes sheet to fill in. We'll go ahead and view this video, and then you will have homework to do. Go ahead, are you sure? Awesome, perfect. So you will then have homework to do on that. Some of the stuff you might have seen before, we will also go over your test when we get back on Friday. So I need some words that mean that plus sign up there. So what kind of English words would tell you to do that? Well, the most obvious is add. You also should have heard that some means to add, increase, and more than. All of those words mean we should be adding some way, shape, or form. Next one. Okay, so here are the words that would mean to subtract. Now, I want you to notice that I have less and less than in there. Those mean two different things. In fact, I'm going to put some stars next to less than because that is one that kids get mixed up a lot, and we will go through that today. Next up, I have multiplying. All of those words mean to multiply. Now, specifically, you see that word twice, and twice means that you should be multiplying by 2. Okay, so obviously if we have triple and whatnot, that would mean to multiply by 3 and so on and so forth. All right, next we have that division symbol. Okay, obviously if we have half, that means to divide by 2. Quotient is the fancy one. A lot of times people think the word difference means to divide, but remember difference is in your subtraction list. And finally, we have that equal sign over there. So that's your list of words that mean equal. Okay, so we're going to use this list and we're going to translate some of these problems. Okay, make sure that you pause, stop, replay this video as much as you need to keep up. First one, 5 times a number is decreased by 4. The result is 26. What is the number? All right, the first thing I have up here is 5 times a number. That would just be 5n is decreased by 4. The result is 26. So there's my equation. Now you're actually going to go ahead and solve that equation, please. Take a second and solve that. Hopefully you get n is 6, so that number would be 6. Okay, when a number is decreased by 20%. Now, by 20%, you all know I can't use the 20% as is. That would have to be 0.20. And it's supposed to be decreased by 20% of itself. Of means to multiply, and it was n. So decreased by 20% of itself. The result is 20. Okay, so where we're translating here, I can put those n's together. Remember, there's a 1 in front of here, so if I take 1n minus 0.20n, that gives me 0.80n. In order to solve this, we will be dividing. Okay, and obviously you can use 0.8 there instead of 0.80, and you should get n is 25. Okay, let's try another one similar to that. 60% of a number, so 0.60 of a number is added to the number. The result is 192. Okay, so again, these are both n's, so I can combine them. This n has a 1 in front of it, so that'd be 1.60n. And then to solve this, we're going to divide. I get n is equal to 120. Okay, 70% of what number? That means multiply, is 224, equals 224. I'll go ahead and divide by that 0.7, and you should get that n is 320. Now remember, folks, you don't have to use n. You can use any letter you want. I really would shy away from using O's. I would shy away from using T's. I would probably shy away from using S's as well. One number exceeds another number by 26. So if I have one number, if it exceeds another number, that means it's bigger. Okay, so I would add 26 to it because it's exceeding that number. The sum of them, so I'm going to be adding them, is 64. Okay, so I have this number, and then I have that number, and then their sum. Okay. I can put my ends together, and then you can take a minute to solve that. Okay, so hopefully when you solve that, you get that your n is 19. So that's one of the numbers. But remember, the other number was exceeding it by 26. So you need to go ahead and add 26 to that. And that other number then would be 45. So those are your two numbers. Okay. A little bit different this time. It says a number is decreased by the sum of the number in 4. Okay, it would look something like that. A number is decreased by the sum of a number in 4. So here's my sum. And notice it goes in parentheses to keep that sum together. Now I'm going to have to distribute that negative sign, which looks like that. N minus n cancels, and all that I'm left with is negative 4. Looks good. 6 times the product, so 6 times the product of negative 5 and a number. Okay, so if I simplify that, I can actually multiply those, and that gives me negative 30. Now notice I can't actually solve for this. I'm just simplifying. They didn't tell me what it equals, so all we're doing there is simplifying it. I can't figure out what n is. The difference, so that's subtraction, between the product of 5 and a number and twice the number. Again, they don't tell me it equals anything, so the only thing that I can do here is combine them and simplify. All right, last one in this section here. The difference between 8 times a number and 6 more than, so that means plus, 3 times the number. Now, I have to keep this in parentheses, so I do the difference of that entire thing. So I'm going to distribute that negative symbol and combine, and that's as simplified as I can get that. Okay, so now you're going to have one of these next type of problems in your homework today. So you're going to do it this exact same way, okay? Each day, the number of births in the world exceeds twice the number of deaths by 61,000. Now, I don't know anything about the deaths, so I'm going to make deaths D. And it says the births, which I'm going to use B for, births in the world exceeds twice the number of deaths by 61,000. So that's what I'm looking at for an equation. Births in the world exceeds means more than, so that's why I have a plus in there, twice the number of deaths by 61,000. If the population increase in a single day is 214,000, determine the number of births and deaths per day. Folks, if I want to increase my population, that means that more people have to be born than died. Okay, and I know I want to increase this by 214,000 people, which means if I take my births and this is what I have for births from up top there, and I subtract my deaths, I should get 214,000. Okay, I want it to go up by that many. So if I combine my like terms, it looks something like this. If I then solve it, I get D is 153,000. So that means 153,000 people will be dying, but I also need to know the births. So I'm going to take that number and I'm going to plug it in right there for deaths. Okay, 2 times that plus 61,000 should give you 367,000 babies being born in that day. If the population increase in a single day is 214,000, by how many millions of people does the worldwide population increase each year? Well, if it's 214,000 each day, there are 365 days in a year. So if we multiply that, we get a number that looks like that. And it says to round to the nearest million. So this would be approximately 78 million if I round to the nearest million. All right, last one here. Based on your answer to part B, approximately how many years does it take for the population to increase by amount greater than the entire U.S. population? So right now there's 306 million people in the U.S. population. It's going to increase by 78 million per year. So if I take 306 and divide it by that, it will take me approximately 4 years that the whole population will grow greater than the entire U.S. population currently. Okay, so those are my notes for today. You all will have that for your homework, and that will be due tomorrow. And again, you'll get your test back tomorrow, and we'll go over them as well.